Well, so here what we are going to see is that how to start one activity from another activity. On the click of this, let me revise this diagram once. So we have created this activity and we have created this another activity, and here we have taken two buttons over here, right? These two buttons we have, and one frame layout is there, right? We have taken one frame layout, something like this, and here we have named it as mango. We have named it as mango, and this is nothing but the Android, something like this. See, and this, okay, mango. And another activity is having two radio buttons over here, 1 2, and one back button is there, like this, say back. You can have, say, back button, okay. Now on the tap of back, it should come to the back, that we'll see, but presently on the tap of this mango button, it should open this activity, right? How to do that thing? Okay, so setup is there. We have already set up everything. This activity, XMLs are ready, your fundamental code is ready, Java 8 setup is ready, and this thing, let me push that to the Git. Say git add. I will share link of this GitHub repository afterwards. Say commit, and here I can say your inter activity communication, right? Setup of activities, setup of the activities, right? And the committed, fine. So in the interactivity, you have this main activity and the producer activity. These two activities we have created, and setup is the ready. Okay, now whenever you are going to click on this any of the button, mango or the Android, you are going to create one of the object over here. You are going to create one object over here, and that object would be having reference to the, or pointer to the source and the target. That would be pointing to the source and the target, right? And this object is something called as intent. You are going to call this object as intent object. Intent can be used for multiple intentions, right? Providing your intentions is the intent. Intent can be used for multiple intentions. Presently you are using intent, right? Presently you are using intent to start new activity, to new component, to initiate new component. Means on the click of this mango or the Android, right, you are going to create object of the intent, right? Object of the intent, and that intent object would be referring to the source and the target. Remember that source would be in the form of context. Source would be in the form of context, and the target would be in the form of, what you can say, target is in the form of type information, in the form of type info of other or next activity. Type information of the next activity, right? Source in the form of context and the target in the form of type information of the next activity. Okay, let me do that thing, right? So on the click of mango, both the operations are going to happen, right? So here I can create object of intent. See this thing, intent. You can see object of intent is equals to new intent. I am doing this thing. So you created object of intent. See what developers are saying about the intent, right? What developers saying about the intent, what exactly it is. An intent is an abstract description of an operation to be performed. Abstract description of an operation to be performed. For example, it can be used with the start activity, to start the activity, to launch the new activity, right? Then send the broadcast, right? Can be used to sending the broadcast, with for the binding the services with another thing. Now what I am saying, binding the broadcasting and the starting the activity, you'd be getting to know in a few minutes. But what do you mean by binding with the service and the broadcasting, that you'll get to know afterwards. We are going to cover all the things, don't worry. Okay. An intent provides a facility for performing late runtime binding between the code and the different applications. See, an intent provides a facility for performing late runtime binding between the code in the different applications. It is saying different applications, and it's a late binding. I'll give you one typical example. When you use the WhatsApp and when you click on the camera application getting opened, right? Communication between two applications can be done with the intent. Okay, in the WhatsApp, once again, if you want to, what you can say, get the contact, you open the contact application of the Android, right? That's what they are saying over here, that we are going to see in the intents and the intent filter topic, right? It is basically a basic data structure holding the abstract description of the action to be performed. Presently you are saying that, boss, you are going to start the activity, right? From this context, right, and the type information of the next activity. What I'm saying, type information, producer activity dot class, producer activity dot class, type information, right? Every Java class possesses one object of the self-definition, which is nothing but the class CLS, and I can see, or I can tell CLS over here. Every Java class possesses the self-definition. How many constructors I have, how many public methods I have, how many annotations I have used, how many methods I have. Everything is defined inside this class. It is the in-memory representation of the Java class. So in on-disk representation is your .class file or your .java file. Then whenever class loader is going to pull that class from the disk to the memory, right? Whenever class loader is going to pull that class from the disk to the memory, right? At that time, representation of that class is made by, what you can say, class, this. And every Java object or every Java class has public static final class field. Every single Java object is having class, and that is nothing but the class. So if someone will ask you, what is this? Don't say that this is a class file. Say that it is a class file, correct answer, but in the memory. It is a in-memory representation of your Java class. It is a in-memory representation of your Java class. Remember that, what I mean to say. Okay. Now this documentation is little bit updated. In the earlier one, that they have clearly written, right? See, instances of the class represent the classes and the interfaces in the running Java application. Instance of this class represent classes and interfaces running in the running Java application, and enum is a kind, right? So will go to, see, class, say Java 7 doc, right? Java 7 class documentation. I suppose that is going to show you that thing. See, class, see this overview yes, this is what, but it should be inside the Java 7. So in some of the documentation they have written, right, it is a in-memory representation of the Java class, in-memory representation of the Java class, right? Okay, so class has no public constructor. Instead of objects are constructed by the call, objects are constructed automatically by the Java virtual machine, as the classes are loaded, right, by the call define class method in the class loader. When your class loader is going to load, that is going to be instantiated. That's what they are telling over here. Okay, that's fine. That's not, we are not learning reflection API, right? So if you want to do that thing, kindly see my Java videos for that. Fine, intent and new intent. Make sure that this is the type information of the class. Means internally Android framework is going to create object of the product activity by using reflection API. Internally Android framework is going to create object of, right, object of the product activity class using the reflection API. Just remember that thing. Okay, now you are just going to call one thing. You are just going to call one thing, start activity, and pass the intent object. Start activity and pass the intent object, right? Okay, I'll copy this code at the both places. Then you will say, if you are going to copy the code, what's the intention of having two buttons? That you will get to know in the next tutorial. What is the intention of this thing, right? Let me run the code, right? Let me run the code and see your new activity is getting started or not. Let us see that. Yes, that would be getting started, and you would be getting to know that thing, why I have used this same in the two methods. I am going to pass the different data to the next activity by using these two methods. See, Java 8 makes very sweet, right? So you don't need to write, or you don't need to think much on this, right? So here you are saying that handler is nothing but on Mango and handler is nothing but on Android. Whenever someone is going to click on the BTN Android, this method is going to get called, and whenever someone is going to click on the Mango, this method is going to get called, right? Java 8 makes this thing precise, or more readable, more understandable, right? That's what your functional programming is. Okay, now build is running over here. Yes, now it's installing the APK. Let's see what happens. Okay, now Mango and the Android is there. See, on the click of Mango, application getting stopped. Why? Let us see what error is there. I suppose this error is of, either is of Java 8, not Java 8, or the vector drawable. See this, the method Android graphics, this I am getting this error. I suppose you don't need to use over here, or whatever icon we have used over here, that should be the PNG, right? Whatever icon we have used over here, that should be the PNG, and you need to have some other settings, right? You need to have some other setup. You can do that thing. Vector can be your app icon, not an issue, right? But I'm not going to go in that detail presently. Vector can be your app icon, no problem, but I'm deleting presently. Any PNG you can have. Let's have some PNG. I'll go to this and let me copy this IC_launcher and paste it inside this, right? Let's delete this, and here you can say at drawable IC_launcher. Now let us see what happens when you enable the Java 8, right? You will compromise the instant run feature. That is the known bug they have clearly mentioned in the Java 8 documentation. Now why? Class might be. Let's clean the project once. Go to the build and clean the project. Right. And after the clean, rebuild the project. If you change any resources or if you find such problem, just clean it once. Clean and rebuild. Let me see this. Rebuild the project. I have cleaned and the rebuild. Let me check. Do we have any problem over here? Are we missing something? I suppose no, we are not missing anything, and even we are not getting any error in the logcat. What's the issue is? Now let me check it. So Gradle is building. I suppose that was the issue of vector drawable. I already told you, right? So when you use icon as a vector drawable, it may give you some problem, right? Let us see what happens. I think issue has been resolved. Issue has to be resolved. Whenever you get such issues, don't get afraid. Try to get rid of that issue. Why that has happened, right? Why that has happened. Try to get rid of that thing. Or you can go to some blogs. Stack Overflow is there, Google Groups are there. Go over there and feel free to use the code. It is not like that you need to type everything and you need to get the solution from your own. No, we need to focus on the rapid application development. At that time, if you need to get some third-party codes, you can feel free to use that things, right? There is no point in reinventing the wheel. That is already invented. You just need to use some of the code snippets. That's not an issue. That's fine. You can use that, right? So after getting this code build, let us see what happens. But as per my knowledge, our code is correct. Let us check once again. So find view by ID, activity underscore main is there, producer activity. Oh, producer activity, where is that code? Right, on create was not there. Was that there or not? Before running it was like this. Before running it was like this. On, I don't remember. On back, mistakenly, might be we have deleted that. I think before running we have deleted that, and that's why activity was not getting started. Some mistake, some key combination, random key combination might be hit by me. Now let us see. Now we are running the code. See, it's working. Next and next. So that was the issue. So if you will not hit the on create, you would be getting the error. This is one of the lifecycle hook which tells your framework this object is the activity object. It is very similar to the servlet lifecycle. If you have worked with the servlet, right? So until and unless you are not going to call init method, that servlet will not be treated as the servlet. Same thing is happening over here, right? Okay. So that was the issue. Now in the next tutorial, what I am going to explain, how you are going to pass data to the new activity from the older activity, right? So keep watching. We are going to come with lot many videos